All right, good afternoon. Y'all need to put that chicken down for a quick second. Good afternoon. Boy, I tell you, it's a lot of heads down in here, boy. If y'all can't see this online, but boy, it's a it's a murder scene in here, boy. Y'all Rattlers feeling good? Boy, every day you wake up a Rattler is a good day, isn't it? It's a pleasure to be in front of you today. Um, today, we like to have a lot of fun in these meetings, but today is a business meeting. And today we're going to, among other things, we're going to lay out our plan for the $1 million campaign. We're going to put it in black and white. We're going to issue each one that's here today. You will get a firsthand copy of the letter that will be going out. We just finished editing. By the time our CEO finished editing it and editing it and editing, I forgot which version we were on at one point, but we finally got it done, and we wanted to make sure that the letter was perfect. This is a perfect campaign, and we wanted everything to be just right and to put the right information in there. We got a treat for you. We got a young graduate in the house, Elijah Rutland. You don't know it, but you've seen his work. He's one of the greatest illustrators and graphic artists. He's been hired by Nike and Disney and everybody. And he's here today, Elijah's. Wave to the people. We're going to bring him up later. He is helping because the shirt he has on is an NIL shirt. Those are FAMU football players on there. So every sale of that shirt helps those football players. So we want Elijah to come up and explain that and how we'll grab your plate. We'll call you up in a little bit, Elijah. And we'd like to thank his father, Charles. Where's Mr. Charles? Okay, communicating. Thank you very much for being here today. So also we'll get our update from the Rattler Boosters. We are expecting Interim Athletic Director Mike Smith to talk about tickets and parking for next week upon the request of some people in here. Upon the request of some people in here. um, and also Dr. Jackson is going to issue some awards today. But we're going to start off with Colonel Joe. Colonel Joe is coming up, and he's got a special message.
Good afternoon. I want to start off with the magical date, which is the 5th of what? 5th of November. And that's the 5th of November because freedom is not free, was not free, and the right to vote was not free. And each and every one of us needs to make sure that we vote because some folks died to give us the opportunity to vote. Now, I think you ought to have some alternatives to how you vote. The important thing is there's several chances that you ought to have to vote, and you ought to have a plan B. Number one, you can mail in your intention to vote. So you can fill it out and get it turned in and turn it in. Second, there will be early voting. So you can also have early voting. I have those dates here, but I promise to be brief. If you want to get them from me later on, I'll give them to you. So you could also vote early. And then again, we get back to that final date, which is 5 November, and you can go. We want to get everybody that you know, even the people you don't like, if you know they get them down, get them where they get a chance to vote. And so we get everybody to do what they want to do. I decided that I would check to see if my vote was there and I was eligible to vote. And I went on the national level thing and I got all the way to the end and it said, you're not eligible to vote. So what I said was, I just got a mail in and I went and did it. So I knew I was eligible, but I said, let me check it out. So I called and Vaughn said he was going to put it up here for me somewhere. That thing there, Leon County Supervisor of Elections, that's the address there in Tallahassee, Florida. That's the phone number down there. I called there twice to ask questions. They were courteous. They answered the questions and made a lot of sense. So I'd say to you, steal that number and call locally because they can tell you some things that you need. And so if you have plan B, if one of those is a mail-in and you decide not to use it, you can still go down and vote on the day that you're supposed to vote, and it's kind problem. It is, that's German. It is no problem for you to do that. The key is you should not wake up on November the 6th and say, gee whiz, I wish I had her. We have come too far to go back now. I didn't invent that, but somebody did, and I think y'all want to do that. So the bottom line is, and if you want to see me after, have some other good information here, I'll give it to you. The key is we want to remember, vote early, mail it in, and be there on the 5th of November. And your children, if they get old enough, don't let anybody that you know that can vote and supposed to vote, let's get them to vote. Thanks for your time. Say that again, please. That's right. Yeah, but you can do that. There, call them folks. They'll tell you all of the places you can go to vote. There's lots of places you can go to vote. Get that information ahead of time so you got it. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Have a good day.
All right, Colonel, I took it one step farther. If you're online and you're not in Tallahassee, you can see this up on your screen. Go there and it can help you find your local election site. You can check to make sure you're registered. If you haven't voted in the last 2 years, there's a possibility you are not, you've been purged from the rolls. There's a lot of purging going on for people that voted for decades, been purged from the rolls. Just, it's not too late to go get registered. And so if you're out of town, go to vote.gov and they can tell you where to find uh, in your precinct. All right, up next, we would like to bring up question. October the 7th is the deadline to register if you haven't registered. If you have any relatives, friends, or whatever, encourage them to register to vote and go vote. Don't just register. We got to start by registering. That's the beginning. And then we have to go vote. Yes, sir. That is a very good point. You may need to update your signature. And the supervisor of elections can help you with that because if the signatures don't match and you go up to get your ballot and you sign that little pad and it doesn't look similar, it could cause a problem. So if you haven't voted in that long and your signature's changed, well, go change your signature and get back into voting. You know, I grew up in the area at FAMU High where they used to show us the film. They used to put the film up, and we used to see people getting hosed down and dogs sicked on and beat up to go vote. So I've only missed one time in 40 years, and I was too sick to go and regretted that I didn't. So I hope everyone in the sound of my voice knows the importance of voting, not just for the president. The local voting actually affects us even more. So we want to make sure we go down the ballot accurately and make sure we choose good candidates. All right, so up next is the executive director of the Rattler Boosters, Selvin Carr.
Good afternoon, everybody. Going to be brief. I see our guests have just come in, so we aren't going to keep them long. First of all, I just want to remind everybody, Rattler Boosters membership is open. We got our regular membership for $100. We got our Venom membership for $300, and you get a polo shirt. And we got our life membership is for $750. So we want to make sure that you're gonna make sure that you capitalize on all three of those. One other thing, and the way that you capitalize on it, you can go to our website, www.famurattlerboosters.com. Or if you want to write checks, we do accept checks. That's Rattler Boosters Inc., Post Office Box 5865, Tallahassee, Florida 32314. Okay. Now, I want to thank you all because we just received our latest edition of Muscle Milk. You remember when last week when the guy said, "Oh, we almost out of muscle milk." Well, he kind of scared me a little bit because I had just gone over there and we had already set to order it. And so, sure enough, it came Monday. So we good for probably another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Depends on how much they work out. So I do want to thank you all for the contributions that you've made. Now there is a bus that's going from the Walmart in Quincy. It leaves at 11:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m. And we get you there. I think it's $125, and it's going to bring you back. So you're just going up there. You're going to watch the game, and you're going to come back. So we want to thank you all. If you're interested in going, I will call me or see Colonel Joe, and we'll see if we can't get you all on the bus. Colonel? Oh, okay, great. It's going to leave. It's going to leave from here, go to Quincy, pick up the folk in Quincy, and then we're going on to Troy. Okay, got to buy your ticket. Um, since I'm in announcement, let me do this for tickets. Save the date. The Gaston County Alumni Chapter Scholarship Soiree, FAMU Forever, on October the 12th in 2024. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure that you pick them up. The okay, as someone said, Coach Colzie is the speaker. Okay, and Miss Hadley. Mhm. Yes. Yes,
Okay, the question was for those online. The question was in relation to when Cole Forney asked about upping our funds. That was actually for the nutrition station. It wasn't for the actual muscle milk. So, so the boosters have handled as of late the muscle milk, and so they're accepting donations that go toward that as well. So the nutrition is the food and snacks that the football team and all the teams, at volleyball, every team has access to those nutrition, the fruit, the peanut butter and jelly, all of those things, the oatmeal, oat bars, all of the teams have access to that. The muscle milk is a separate ticket item that the boosters have been handling. Then we need both. Well, the boosters just restocked the muscle milk.
Mhm. And right, you make it out to Rattler boosters. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions. Okay, let me bring you up to date on quick, right quick on starts tomorrow at 9:19. The tennis team got a fall schedule going, and they're gonna start off tomorrow in College Park, Georgia, and they'll be up there for the weekend. Volleyball team, we are 7-3. So hey, we were 2 and won on the past weekend. So we got 2 games Friday. We got Southeast Louisiana, and we're playing the Raging Cajun in Lafayette. And on Saturday, we're playing Jacksonville State. So we got 3 games this upcoming weekend. They're all in Louisiana. Our cross country team, they did run last week, but I hadn't got any results on it yet. Our golf team, we did have a golf tournament that we played a week before last, but and the tournament this week was canceled because of the bad weather that they had up there. So again, I thank everybody for their contributions. And as someone, as Ms. Hadley said, uh, the $31, and I think it went to $51. That was the amount of points that's been paid per year. All of that money goes to our nutrition account. So again, we really thank you all for all the contributions that you made. Thank you. Yes, Will. Oh, the dinner on Saturday, on Friday. Friday, yes. We will have the bus for life members only, and we will have the dinner. If you remember that number and want to give it to me, I'll put their names on the list as well. Okay? All right. Okay. Vaughn?
All right, at this time, all chicken legs should be down. I need your undivided attention. As right now, we will unveil the dynamics of the $1 million campaign. I want to thank a fantastic board, especially Deacon Matthews, because when we had our first meeting, he brought some literature on capital campaigns, and I used it like a Bible almost. I read it backwards and forwards and backwards, and we threw out a lot of ideas. And that the board, can the board please stand first of all? Because I know I get up here representing the board, but the board are real people that sit and make this thing work. Let's give a round of applause to everyone on the board. Okay, our $1 million campaign, and I'm gonna back up so you can see. And online, you won't see me. You don't need to see me. You need to see this. What is the campaign for? As far as for student athletes, it'll cover nutrition, summer school, cooling chamber, and desired equipment. Let me just switch this speaker so it'll start feedback. Hold on. That's better. So for the student athletes directly, that is how they'll benefit from the campaign. I'm gonna turn this mic down just a little bit. I must talk louder than everybody else. Is that clear to everyone? These are what we have identified as the needs as far as directly to the student athletes. What does the campaign mean for the athletic department? Recruiting funds, which we know is vital. Various requests as needed. To restart the FAMU relays. There is no way on earth FAMU should be without the FAMU relays. No way. It's too great. Bob Hayes, the 4-pin relays. I mean, let me just stop. Okay. Um, and then this bottom line is very important. Athletic director discretion. What we don't want to do is raise $1 million and spend all the money for the athletic department. We want to take care of the basic needs that we said we take care of and let the athletic department decide. That's very important because they're there on a daily basis. They know what they need. The methods to achieve this $1 million. The first step was done in March by Mr. Jackson. The first stage normally comes behind the second stage, which is normally the silent stage. But since he announced it, those are done. Now we are in the third stage, which I call the full court press. The full court press is by every Rattler that loves wearing orange and green, that are glad you got your degree from FAMU, that are glad you're able to sustain yourself. That full court press is by all of us because it's going to take all of us to get to this number. Large donor solicitations, we've actually been having some good luck with that. We'll come out with those numbers at some point, but we have contacted people, known donors, some who haven't donated to FAMU in a long time. So that will be a part of it. The part that you all are responsible for assisting is the friend raising. Your church, fraternity, sorority, neighborhood association, the class that you graduated in FAMU, whatever groups you all have access to, we need to expand this, get this ask to all of these groups. Businesses, this goes for everybody online as well. We're going to make the letter that we're giving out today available. We're going to email it to everyone who's in our database. Have you all received like the newsletter from us? Check to make sure you have. Okay, just check to make sure your email is updated up front, because that's what we went by, the email we have there. And a lot of people online gave us their emails. And we've sent out a couple of newsletters and alerts and reminded people not to come here last week, 7. And at that point where we begin friend raising, the board will take a reevaluation. In a few months, we'll have to see how we're going, see where we need to improve. And we actually have some numbers to all of these areas. So I'm not going to bore you to death, but this is vital to what we're going to do to raise this $1 million for athletics. And then, of course, the home stretch push. As we evaluate and we get definitely into January and February, and we're going to all have to push really hard again to make sure we cross the finish line, because our department needs us to do this. If it is, the question was, will the students' basic needs be included in this $1 million campaign? That would be up to the athletic department. We would not make that judgment. We definitely don't want to dig down into that. And also, so I'm glad you stopped me, because it's very important, because this question arose. Will women's athletes get a fair share of this? Absolutely. Nothing on here besides the cooling station. And they're welcome to go in there if they'd like to. So, I mean, they're not excluded from the cooling station. All of these things are for every single athlete that wears orange and green. Every single initiative we're doing is for every athlete. I don't think at this juncture it makes sense to try to divide it up. It doesn't make sense. It's for all. We're for the overall athletic department and all of the student athletes at FAMU. In our weekly meetings and fundraising that we do in the weekly meetings, we won't be doing a lot of smaller projects. We got one project now, and everything else falls under that umbrella. So just understand, I hope you don't get tired of us with this broken record, but until we get there, the needle will be stuck right there on $1 million campaign. Eddie Jackson Memorial $1 million campaign. Some great news, our CEO has done a great job. We are incorporated now. We're filling out the second part to become a 501c3, but Dr. Jackson has been diligent in going through those papers. and calling me and me going and signing, and I always end up saying, Miss Jackson, you didn't have to ask me that. But she's a corporate person. Okay, how are we going to do this plan wise? First off, we need some grand rattlers. That's what we're going to call it. We got three categories. Grand rattlers, real simple. What's a grand? 1,000. We need some grand rattlers that are going to give $1,000. Guess what happens if we get 500 rattlers to give $1,000? We halfway there, right? We got 100 in this room. So you can't tell me we're not going to find 400 more rattlers that are going to donate $1,000 to the campaign. We've got some people that have already donated $1,000 to the campaign, and the Norwood's been waving around a check waiting to do with it, and some other people. So we have people on that have sent their checks in directly to the foundation, and that is great. But we need 500 people. 500 people to give us $1,000. We break it down because our portal at the foundation allows you to set up a monthly. So guess what? From September to July is how many months? 10. You can do $100 a month from now to the end of the campaign, and you will give $1,000. That makes it easy for a lot of people. Think of it that way. If you don't have the 1,000 all at one time, you can subscribe for the 10 months to put $100 in. That is with the foundation. That is with our link that's on 220qbclub.com. You're going to get a letter. Everyone in here is going to get letters. Our initial letter that kind of encompasses all of this. Okay? For those online, before I go any further, we have our own 220 Quarterback Club Cash App. It's up on the screen, $ 220 QB Club. It should be somewhere on the screen. If it's not up, I'll put it up a little later when someone else comes on. Once again, we have to find 500 people that are willing to donate $1,000 to this campaign, okay? The next, how long is a century? Make it real easy to remember which rattler you are, right? A grand rattler or a century rattler. We need some century donors. That's rattlers that are willing to give $100 to this campaign. As opposed to us basing the whole campaign on finding 5,000 people to give $100. Is that what it was? Or 10,000 people to give $100? We had to break it down into some targets. We need to get 3,000 people that'll give us $100. Between us, we know a lot of people that don't look like us, that didn't graduate from FAMU. We know people we can ask, and we have to. There are businesses that we frequent. They can give $100. So I guess some of you are surprised that the 220 Quarterback Club is not going out and raising $1 million. We are. It's just not the committee. We all are involved in this. The next phase is our campaign supporters. That's where we take any amount of money that somebody puts in our hand or goes online or cash apps us or sends a check into the foundation. We must have supporters to supplement to make sure we reach our number. This is the breakdown from what we just talked about. I like to think our board, this looks like realistic to me. Those numbers come to this. This looks realistic of something that Rattlers will accomplish. I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to make this happen. And that's how we get to $1 million. Are there any questions about anything you heard about the campaign? That is a very good question. He asked, was this a 1 year thing or annual thing? In my mind, this is a 1 year thing for the 220 quarterback club. This type of thing is normally done by an athletic department. Since we've been a little destabilized in our outreach, we stepped up to the plate. And I think that's what Mr. Jackson saw when he decided to challenge us to do this campaign. This is a one-shot deal. I am not going to be standing up here in front of you next year saying we got another Eddie Jackson Memorial $1 million campaign. I'm not going to do that. This is a one-shot deal. And I really hope that everyone is invested in making this happen. I really do. Hold on one second. I have to be the speaker and the producer at the same time. But I want to thank everyone online. For your donations. Hold on, I got to put the new cash up on the screen. I know some of y'all going, why don't you get somebody else to do it? If you saw how many buttons was on what I just switched. I don't think anybody wants to bother with it. I want to thank our online donors. Our iPads that we purchased for basketball, and they are engraved on the back that say FAMU basketball. Give yourselves a bigger round of applause than that. Thank you for our online givers. You all did this. You all did this online. Thank you. You're very important. Drop something in the bucket today because we got to keep going. 220 QB Club, that $ 220 QB Club. We got to keep going. This is great. If you don't know the significance of these iPads, this year the NCAA allows them to have them on the sideline so they can see replays, so Coach Colzie can show them what he messed up. I'm sure he's not over there looking at good plays. He's going to go look at where you messed up. And the bad thing for the players, this kind of validates. No, you ain't blocked nobody. Look, the man can't, so that happens during the game now. So thank you to our 220 Quarterback Club members online for your giving. We need it. It is very effective in helping our mission to help FAMU athletics. At this time, I'd like to bring up, while Mike is talking, I'm going to pass out the letters so that you all can. And you see some of our players have come in. They're part of the NIL. They are on the shirt. So each shirt that's purchased helps their NIL. So we're going to get to them after interim AD Michael Smith. And Mike don't know this, but my brother used to hate Mike. He used to hate Michael Smith because my brother played center. And Coach Hubbard used to like to run this play. It was a reverse, which meant my brother had to pull out and be in front of Mike to lead him. But Mike was so damn fast, my brother never could get out there. And he always got in trouble because Mike was running so fast. So Mike probably never knew that. But my brother was, damn, I can't get in front of Mike. But Mr. Excitement, number 5, Michael Smith.
He missed the block, so I had to keep going. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for allowing us to be here and represent the athletics department. Of course, I know you want to get to Coach Colzie and all the great things that are going on with the program, but I'm here to say on behalf of the university and the athletics department, how much we appreciate the support that we continually get from the 220 Club, and we want to just make sure you all know that it is greatly appreciated. When I walk in, of course, I know most everybody in here, and so, like I said last time when I introduced our former athletic director, this is my family, and this is the family, and so it's happy to be here to speak with you again, and so I just wanted to get a chance to give you a few updates. Cobb's report took everything that I had to say, so I'm good. I can sit down now. But I do still have a few other things that I'd like to share. Um, as you all know, let me get the first note out. So on Saturday, I mean, last week, I think everybody knows, if we haven't already discussed, that we lost a giant in our athletics, um, particularly our football program. Daryl Drew has transitioned, and his funeral will be on Saturday here in Tallahassee. I have the information, Mr. Cobb, as well as Vaughn does as well. St. Mary, St. Mary's on North Monroe, and so Daryl Drew, who played back in the '80s with myself and Vaughn and Van as well, transition, and the funeral will be here in Tallahassee. We'll be attending, and we're just wanted to make sure everybody knew Daryl, former linebacker. He's a Gobby High School guy, and then he's a 1998 Hall of Famer as well. So we definitely want you to remember the Drew family as you keep them in your prayers as they prepare for their celebration and homegoing for Daryl Drew. Um, the next thing is Hall of Fame Parent Weekend and Military Appreciation Week, which is September the 28th. And so we're really excited about that particular weekend after we finish in Troy. And Coach will talk about Troy. So I'll skip over and just talk about our next home contest. Thank y'all for coming out the first game and all the support you provided. Um, we're continuously meeting to determine how we can be better in terms of serving you and making the customer experience and the fan experience as best that we can. So um, the Hall of Fame, Marvin Green and Vaughn and that committee will be in charge. There are events that'll take place for the Hall of Fame committee. I mean, for the Hall of Fame weekend. I'm sure they'll talk about that maybe next weekend, as well as the Rattler F Club has some events that'll take place. And then the parent and family weekend is a part of that celebration as well, with student activities. Colonel Joe knows exactly what that looks like for all the years he was spearheading that. And so that is the same weekend where we'll have a lot of parents from our students that'll be attending this weekend. And so we're looking for a great time. And then for, of course, all of those individuals in this room, family members, et cetera, who served in the military, there's Military Appreciation Week that will be a part of that. And so we're definitely looking to make sure that you all get out. We hope that you're able to get out and come and enjoy that weekend with us. And so the Coast Guards will do a presentation, but of course, we'll make sure that as part of the run of the show, all of our military veterans, et cetera, will be recognized. So just wanted to say that to you. A couple of other things. I think everybody knows there is a meeting on Friday, a board meeting on Friday, and so there's going to be another transition. And so we're getting ourselves prepared for the transition and what's next. And so again, that's why I want to thank y'all for your support that you've given us over this period of time. Um, and so stay tuned. The president and the board will speak to that more intentionally, but just wanted to make sure everybody knows what's happening in that space. SWAC Media Day is tomorrow and Friday for our men and women's basketball. So we'll head out sometime tonight or in the morning. Women's basketball is on Thursday, and the men's basketball is on Friday. It's in Atlanta, and so, of course, we're excited about Coach Guerry and Coach Gordon and their student athletes that'll be attending the SWAC Media Day for basketball and kicking off basketball season. And so I'll be up there and then come back and go visit with Daryl and his family and then head to Troy on Saturday. So it'll be a busy weekend for some of us, but that's what you sign up for when you sign up for this type of work. And so we'll continue to make sure we keep you in the loop. So that's what we're excited about. And then again, couple other things real quick. We also, if you didn't know, Brittany Johnson, who is our Senior Associate Athletic Director for Compliance and our Senior Women's Administrator, um, along with former AD Sykes, spearheaded a request of a grant from the NCAA. And so we were able to get $87,000. Yeah, that's a real big deal because there's an NCAA grant. It's a one-time grant this year. It's going to be geared towards academics, APR, And so there were a group of individuals on the staff that played a part in that. But Brittany was the key person who did the write up, send it to the NCAA. So we got $87,000 for us to use for some significant things that's going to impact those young men that are sitting back there, as well as our other students inside of our enterprise. So that's a big deal. We're really excited about that. Um, you'll hear more as we go down the road. We've got two vacant positions in our head coach coaching space, softball and bowling, and so we're working to get those positions filled as quickly as we possibly can. Our student athletes are back and they're doing well in the classroom and they're training, and so we want to make sure we get good people in front of them to help keep moving those programs along. And so I think y'all know in this business it's transitioned a lot when coaches have other opportunities and things happen, and so we're working real diligently to make sure that we do this. And then again, Vaughn and everybody on the campaign, we just thank y'all for your continued support of the athletics department. And we know you all will be working in synergy with all the other groups that are out there working on behalf of athletics. And our job is going to be good stewards of the resources, make sure we know what we're asking for, what our needs are, and then use those resources in a way that's befitting of the efforts that you all are putting out, particularly with the 220 Club and then all the other groups that support us. And so that's kind of high level. I just wanted to make sure that you all kind of have a sense of what's going on. Classes are going, students are back in class, football, volleyball, golf, and all the things that Mr. Cobb shared are happening. And so we're really excited about it. And administratively, we're trying to do our due diligence to keep things going and prepare for a transition that'll take place. And so that's it for me, unless there's some specific questions.
Yeah, how's it going, Mike?
Doing good.
I had a couple of vintage rattlers uh, calling me about the old radio broadcasting. Are we looking back in that direction, or what direction are we going for the broadcasting of the Dame Gay broadcasting?
So I haven't at this point had a chance in this last month and a half or whatever to get my arms around that. I think as we transition to new leadership, that'll be something that that person will definitely take a look at the entire enterprise when we start talking about what do we want our brand to look like and how we want it to get out to our customer base and our fans as it has in the past, and what's the best way for us to connect with fans today with the technology and things that are available to us. And so that assessment, I'm sure, will be done. That's a question we have gotten quite a bit over the last few years. I think everybody knows that. So I'm sure that is something on the person's brain that's going to work to see what's the best next steps. Yes, sir.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Tailgating. Is it the same it was last year across the street?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How I was called to ask that question. How do you get in contact with um how do you pay your money?
Good question. So we have partnered with the University Foundation and Advancement Office. So there's a link online with the foundation. You should be able to get to that link from the athletic webpage,
Okay.
and it'll take you to the foundation webpage where you'll pay for that particular spot. And then once you do that, we'll get that information as a department, and we will make sure that that spot is reserved for you. When we're talking about at the Pattyfoot lawn areas where tailgating currently is for the university as it relates to where we used to do it. And so that's what will happen. If they can't get there, just call 599-3868 and let us know, and we'll make sure that we assist them with that.
One, two. Here you go, right here. The other hand.
Good afternoon, A.D. Smith. Question I have is the last game that we had a family package of 4 to attend games for $100. Are we thinking about doing that for other games during the season? And my next question would be, how did the tennis court get completed and who's responsible?
So good question. So we have looked at the opportunity. We'll be working with the box office to, to determine over the next couple of games what's the best option for us to do that. We got a good return. Folks were real happy. Families were able to come. And so we definitely want to encourage that. So we will be meeting with the box office and looking at what's the best next game for us to do that. So stay tuned because that was discussed, but we just have not gotten it and rolled it out yet. And so for the tennis court, for the women's tennis court, the first half of it, that came from a multitude of individuals and corporations that supported that initiative. Of course, y'all know I've stood here before y'all before, and I like to give credit for where it's due. That was an initiative of A.D. Sykes and the team, and so she was able to get some funding from various sources to pull that together. We both did it with carry $4 from the university as well as some other donations that came in from individuals and corporations that supported that. And so we got the first 6 courts done. The goal now is to go back and get the other 6 so that we'll be in a situation where we can host tournaments and bring those kinds of tournaments, not just for a SWAC, but for any local group that comes in, another way of one branding the university, and then hopefully generating some revenue in return for that. But that's how that project happened. And so if you go out there, you'll see the first set of courts. They look really nice. I was out there today as well. So good question and thank you.
Mr. Smith, um, what time, what time does the gates open for the game? Let me put it this way. What time does the gates supposed to open for the game? Because on Perry Street side, the gates weren't open for the first home game. There was a lady that was trying to get in. She had to push her daughter or somebody in a wheelchair. And it was very frustrating to see that lady trying to get through the gates. And it wasn't open at 5 o'clock, if that's supposed to be the time. If it is, then they need to be open at 5 o'clock.
So the gates are scheduled to open 2 hours before the game. So we have a 6 o'clock game. The gates should be open by 4 o'clock. On homecoming, we usually open 3 hours before the game. And so in our game operations debrief, we did find that there were some improvements that we definitely need to make. And so we're working with the company that we work with as well as our staff to assure that, one, we have people in place, the apparatus are working properly, and then at 4 o'clock, the gates are open this week. Next week's game is at 6 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, those gates should be open and people should be able to gain access. And so that's something we'll monitor, and that's something we're putting some emphasis on again. So thank you for that, and just wanted to make sure everybody knows that. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a comment, and it's not a question. I just want to, as a fan, thank Mike Smith for graciously serving as interim athletic director.
Hold up, Harold. Hold up, Harold.
I just want to, as a fan, thank Mike Smith for graciously serving as interim athletic director more than once. He's just done an outstanding job, and he's done it with grace. And also, our first game was a great first game experience. Thank you so much, Mike. You've done so much to take a handoff and make it happen. Thank you so much.
All right. Turn the mic off, Sylvia. All right. I just gave Deacon Matthews credit for giving us the information to strategize for the $1 million campaign. And then we left him off our first letterhead. Deacon Matthews is going to get somebody. But before this letter goes. That's why we did a soft launch. That's why you do a soft launch, because you can find out what's wrong before you go massive. So I'm glad we just did limited letters. Next week, we're going to have plenty of letters and envelopes for everyone to give to your classmates, the person sitting next to you in church, your fraternity, sorority, who your relatives, Pookie them, everybody. I'd like to bring up Deacon Matthews in reference to our $1 million campaign. Um, Personally, I guess as the leader of the group, my donation will be $100 a week, not once a month. My donation will be $100 a week. So I don't know what that adds up to by the end of the. I'll just be happy that I'm supporting the $1 million campaign.
Okay. Thank you, Vaughn, and good afternoon. Ozzie Johnson, can you come up, please? Ozzie, make your way up. He's coming. Okay. First of all, I want to say that I've already given my $1,000 to the campaign. Ozzie Johnson here is going to give his $1,000 to the campaign. Attorney Randolph committed to 1,000. He couldn't be here today, but he's given $1,000. He's going to give $1,000 to the campaign.
My wife will give $1,000.
Okay, so that's another $1,000 from the Johnson home. So you're looking at $2,000 right here, 1,000, and then Attorney Randolph is going to give 1,000. Now, I want Deacon, I want Ozzie Johnson to put on his deacon hat now. You put your deacon hat on. And then I want all the members of Bethel Missionary Baptist Church to stand. Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, where the Reverend R.B. Holmes Jr. is the pastor, Sister Gloria Holmes is the first lady. Where's A.D.? You a member? You still a member, right? Yeah, I don't see Colonel Joe. So he's but anyway, on behalf of Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, where Reverend R.B. Holmes is the pastor, and Reverend R.B. Holmes will be going into the Hall of Fame next week. And I don't know how many tables we got, Bond, but we're gonna fill that place next week at the Hall of Fame. But on today, on behalf of the Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, I have a check for $3,000 for the $1 million campaign and $1 million campaign nutrition.
So that's the attorney, you, him and his wife, and three. That makes 7,000. You got 3 more thousand to go. All the board members got to raise $10,000. So that's a good start, Deacon, but you're not done. It's a very good start, but you got 3,000, at least 3,000 more to go. But I know we can depend on Deacon Matthews. He does a great job, and thank you for that. And we always know that's one of the reasons Reverend Holmes is going in. I don't know if a lot of people remember some years ago when we had that $8 million debt hanging over us. Reverend Holmes raised $250,000, and he had to strong arm everybody, kind of like I'm doing now to do this $1 million. I feel like him. I'm gonna go sit down on this couch and get some advice as we go down. But he did the right. He understands the mission, and so thank you, Bethelites, and everyone associated with that, and these grand rattlers who've given their $1,000. Before I get to Coach Colzie, Coach, I'm gonna get to you. I want to bring up Elijah Rutland He is assisting with um, Fang Exchange, a very one of the most talented young men you want to meet. Uh, he's got an item that is going to be of particular interest to us. We got to get it approved by Miss Jackson. But Elijah, if you would, please come on up. And if we could get the players to flank him. It's going to get real dark up here. TJ, that's Jalen. Y'all come up.
Hello, everyone. Like you said, I'm Elijah Rutland, originally from Macon, Georgia. I'm a spring 22 graduate, FAMU. In the J School, um, like you said, I'm an artist, illustrator, and this is my profession. I've been doing it ever since I graduated 2 years ago. I'm mainly here to talk about the NIL shirt. If you remember a few weeks ago, Ashley Coleman, who was the director, she came up and gave kind of an introduction to the Fan Exchange NIL. I see with the hat on. Um, and the main thing I do, so I started customizing shoes. Over time, I expanded doing illustrations, art. And while I was at FAMU, I saw there was a really big need for art that represented the school in an authentic way. In addition to J School, I crossed the Beta New chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity in Spring 21. So in addition to that, I do a lot of things around FAMU, HBCUs, fraternity life, because those are all things I was a part of. I was also in the March 100, um, and I played trumpet. So I had these guys here to show this. This is actually the first ever collaboration with the Bang Exchange. Um, the theme is "Run It Back" because after we won the Celebration Bowl that year or last year, um, that was a great feeling. We all like the feeling of winning. My freshman year was 2017. We was 3-8, and it wasn't as much fun. So, we got used to winning, and we want to keep winning. But as we know, the landscape of NIL college football has changed. And as myself, as a student, like I said, when I got here, we were 3-8, was losing every game. It felt like. Then by the time I graduated, we won the Celebration Bowl. So I want to keep feeling that because the games were fun. And so I wanted to find a way to bring my art and actually support the school and the students in a tangible way with my skills. So that's what this shirt is. Ashley couldn't be here, unfortunately, but she's watching. If you look, we have the spot players. Here we have TJ Lee, Jalen Goss, Kendall Bowler, all great players on the championship team from last year. And so I wanted to create a piece that could represent the um, success we had last year while also alluding to the success that we're going to have this year. Um, so, like I said, the goal, I want to win another Celebration Bowl. I know we all do, but the players need support. And so, like Vaughn said earlier, each sale of the shirt goes directly back um, to the Bank Exchange, and then from the Bank Exchange, it goes to these players directly. Every sale. I'm also a licensed vendor with the university. I didn't mention that, but um, yeah. So with all that, like I said, I wanted to make sure in releasing things, creating products that I did it the right way and went directly to the people. Um, Last week we did a photo shoot with all of them, so those pictures will be coming out this week. This next Saturday, Set Friday, that's like the first place I've announced this. We have an event set up where all 5 guys will be out, um, and they'll be signing autographs, taking pictures, doing all that for the shirts. So we have a table set up in the back. Um, Everything is there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But like I said, I really wanted to find a way to support the players, support the school, especially as a young and recent graduate. I didn't want to wait until I got to a certain level or age. I wanted to start now. So um, yeah.
Elijah, that is amazing. Let's give him one more round of applause. And we all know we have to continue to do what we can do for NIL. So every shirt helps these student athletes. Sometimes we wonder how we can help them benefit directly. This is one way. The Fang Exchange has gone through all the protocols of the university as our preferred NIL stop. So we are supporting this. Y'all got some big shirts back there? I need one. Okay. All right. And and for those online, if you want to know who Elijah is, for those online, which means you're probably on social media, if you ever saw that tune that went absolutely viral years ago of the young black man looking out the window, Elijah did that character. Yeah, yeah, that's him. Yeah, coach is like, that's him. Yeah, that Elijah did that. What drew me to Elijah was when Ken Riley passed, my former coach. He did one of Coach Riley with a halo over, and that's when I ran him down. I was like, dude, I have to have that file. I have to get something for Mrs. Riley. I need that file, and he sent it to me just like that. So he's very talented. Did he's modest. Disney animations. He's been on Disney animations. He's designed shoes for Nike. This young man is talented. He is a great graduate. And what we need is more of our younger alumni to start out at his age giving back. So we need to use this young man as an example. So Elijah, thank you. I'll be back there to get my shirt.
Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. The other reason I really wanted to come here was because I think it was either 2018 or 2019. I was a sophomore at FAM. I was living in Gibbs, I remember. Um, can't forget that. And Mr. Jackson reached out to me. I think it was right when the nutrition thing got started. You trying to get muscle milk and the protein bars. He reached out to me to do an illustration um, with family football players and around the table. I remember specifically because he paid me for it. And back then, that didn't always happen. It happens now, but as a, I was 18, I think. I was 18 and I just turned 19 maybe. But the way he did it and just his support, he invited me to the meeting. This is when it was at yeah, New Times, I think on North Monroe. And just seeing that, all the way, this was what, 5, 6 years ago, and to come back now and do this, it really meant a lot. So I just want to make sure I said that.
Thanks, Elijah. Y'all see this shirt? Y'all got to see this shirt up close. It's how much are the shirts?
So the shirts are small through XL is $49.99, 2XL is $54.99, and 3X is $59.99.
All right. We got to get the shirts and support our athletes. So that's why it costs a little more than some of these other shirts. So thank you. And they're set up in the back. And if you got any problem back there, Jalen, go get it straightened out. For the $1 Million campaign, we have $1,000 given in loving memory of Miss Clara Floyd Gaiman from her sons, Delbert Floyd, Kirkland Floyd, Kenton Floyd, and Charles Jefferson. Listen, we're going to get to those 500 Grand Rattlers. I really believe it. And we're going to get to all those other numbers as well. Next up, before I forget, make sure. Okay, next up, he was off last week, theoretically. He had to go recruit, though, so he wasn't really off. He was only off on Saturday from playing a game. The team practiced, he scouted, and prepared to go to Troy, Alabama, and upset those Trojans on Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers, James Colzie III.
Oh, wow. Good afternoon. Do me a favor, please. make sure we get that $1 million. Cause I'm gonna wake up at night and I'm just gonna be hearing $1 million in my head. Uh, just please make sure we get that done so Vaughn can sit down. Okay, please, please do that. Um, uh, my guys back there, always great to see them. We got two offensive guys and one defensive guy back there. My offensive guys, they're a little bit mad at me today. We had now I'm gonna give you the scenario and then we'll talk about Troy in a few seconds. But during the week you prepare for the other team, right? So we have inside run, uh, pass, team stuff. Where since we're playing Troy, we're gonna get ready for Troy, right? So inside run versus Troy. We'll use scouts on both sides of the football. But then also through practice, I do what I call good on good, where regardless of the situation, we're gonna have our one offense go against our one defense, and vice versa. So every morning we'll talk about practice. They really want to hear about practice, but not really want to hear about practice because ultimately they want to know how much conditioning we're going to be doing after practice. So I go through practice, and then the minute I start talking about conditioning, that's when everybody's eyes and ears are wide open. So this morning, our conditioning was we had 6 plays that we were going to run at the end of practice. So if the offense won, then defense had a gasser, right? If the defense won, then offense had a gasser. So throughout that entire practice, our offense had a really, really good day. A great day, actually. Excuse me. We had a great day, actually. But then we go to those last 6 plays. Offensively, we lost 5. And defensively, they lost 1. So with that in mind, offense had to run 5 gassers. Now, how many former offensive linemen do we have in here? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Or maybe some of y'all look like now. Y'all look like offensive linemen now. Um, but so, excuse me. So with them having to run 5 gassers, the offensive linemen, they weren't necessarily really excited, but they did run them. And TJ, y'all did run them, right? TJ and Jalen, they did run them. Now they were complaining while they ran, but ultimately they did run. So as we mentioned last week, we had a bye week. Our coaches, we all hit the road. So with our bye week, normally, you give, guys are gonna go home. We understand that. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, we practice in the mornings, and all the coaches, we hit the road. So I asked Coach Antonio Carter to do it because he's responsible for our Tallahassee area, and he goes to Mobile. So he was our guy that could stay close. Now he didn't know this that I asked him to do this, but I asked him really to do this for a specific reason. But I said, "Hey, Coach, how did it go?" He said it went well. I said, well, great. I said, did you get some cake? And he looked at me. He said, Coach, cake? What do you mean cake? I said, well, I got cake for my first win. Maybe I got cake for my first loss. I wasn't quite sure. I knew it was probably gonna be a different cake. But he said, Coach, no, we didn't get any cake. I said, well, good. That you probably wouldn't have wanted to eat it anyway. I want you guys to understand, and obviously, you come back and you have a loss against the University of Miami, a very, very good football team, and I'm here to tell y'all, I'm not really in the moral victories. I received a lot of texts after the game. Hey, Coach, congratulations. Hey, Coach, y'all played as long as you could, and you gave it up and you fought. Yeah. Bottom line was we didn't win the football game. Right, yeah, this isn't horseshoes. It's not necessarily the closest and all that stuff. I'm not a moral victory guy, and I want you guys to understand that. I'm real intentional about the bottom line, and it was a learning aspect for our football team, a learning aspect for our football staff. People that have the opportunity, hopefully, to go to the game. You enter that type of arena, that type of stadium, that type of atmosphere. It is important that not just the coaches or not just the players, but the entire organization has to be ready for that type of football game. And again, if you guys got a chance to watch it live or from the stadium, I Obviously, I'm not a real big Hurricane fan, but they got a very very good football team. They, you're gonna see a guy on there's a guy on that field that we played against. He will more than likely be either one of the people that's gonna win the Heisman, or will be a finalist for the Heisman. Right? Again, very very good football team. We talked about it as a staff. We talked about it as a football team. All of the things that we know that we need to work on and be better with. The details, you can't have mistakes like we had against a team of that magnitude. Now, how'd that help us, right? Played the game, evaluated, graded film, had a whole week to get back to the basics, a whole week to talk about how to handle a football, whole week about how to communicate as a defense. We literally went back to scratch offensively and defensively, right? Just to make sure we take care of the details that we may have missed over the last few weeks, right? You go through training camp, everything's fast, fury. You're trying to get ready for a team, but in all reality, right? We needed to make sure we took care of FAMU. And that was the thing that for me you saw on film. We need to take care of what we need to take care of. Our details, our fundamentals. Yep, we're playing another football team, but it's important that we as FAMU Rattlers take care of what we need to take care of on a daily basis. That was what we did last week. Right now, obviously, they had the off Thursday, off Friday. I made mention, when our team goes on a bye week, I get really, really nervous. Right? When I'm not necessarily in contact with them over the weekend, I get really, really nervous because sometimes things can possibly happen. Well, very, very excited to say when we got back Sunday, everybody was back on time. Everybody was there. We had no issues. Right? So then that was a great segue to now allowing us to go through this week. Right? We were off on Monday, had great two practices Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. Now you're kind of on the back end right now as we get ready and prepare. We go Thursday. We'll go in the afternoon. We'll on Friday. We'll get up and do some meetings, and then we're gonna have a walkthrough at Tuskegee at 3 o'clock. The head coach is gonna give us his new facility, and we're gonna be able to do some walkthrough stuff for an hour on that Friday. And then after that, we'll get ready to play a football game. Right? Troy. People have asked me about Troy. A similar team that's they're fighting to get a win. Right? They're 0-3. They've played some quality opponents. But there's a quote from one of their players that he's guaranteeing some stuff. So best believe I'll make sure our players hear some of that little insert that he had mentioned. So good football team though. All right, obviously going down to Troy. I was doing my show on Tuesday, and he kept calling them Troy State. They ain't called Troy State no more. They don't even like being called Troy State. So guess what I'm gonna call them? Troy State. But either way, great team. We know we got to go up there and play well. We got to make sure we continue to hone in on the details that we may have. I know I got a couple questions that I'm going to have to make sure I answer. So I want to make sure I give enough time for that. But I want to say thank you for, again, allowing me to be here. Thank you for allowing and always embracing our players back there. Trust me, man. My job is easy because I got those kind of guys like there behind me, and obviously with the support that I receive not just on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis. And trust me, believe me, this week when you text me, I'll make sure I'm as courteous as I can be, regardless win, lose, or draw. Thank you.
All right, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Understanding that Troy is an FBS school and we're FCS.
Yes, sir.
And I know that the NCAA this year allowed FBS schools to have headphones in their helmets. When an FBS school plays an FCS school, are they allowed to have those? Uh, are the FBS schools allowed to still utilize something that the FCS cannot use?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, they are. And it's not as big as an advantage as you may think. But that is a great question. They are able to use it, just like when we play football teams that don't have iPads. It's not like we have to put our iPads away, right? So if your university allows you to have those type of advances in technology, and the other team decides not to, then that's on the other university, right? So I'll give you an example here. We're gonna play other teams because I obviously being privy to some of the emails from some of the other SWAC schools where we have 8 iPads. That's why I was kind of joking a couple weeks ago about us needing iPads because we don't need any iPads. We got 8 of them, right? But other teams that we'll play against will only have 3 or 4. So now we'll still be able to use our 8, where maybe the other teams in the conference may only have the 3 or 4. So it's all about what your program allows you to have budget wise. But my understanding is next year they will allow us to have the earpiece in, so we should be good to go with that. I mean, in all honesty, you're just saving some of the signals. How many offensive guys are in here? Any offensive guys love to score touchdowns? Good. All the offensive guys, y'all be on the sidelines doing all that baseball crap sign stuff, right? Or that's all from now on. Now you're just talking into the earpiece and you're saying the play. That's the only thing that's the difference.
Question? One question? Boss man is here? Oh, here's one. Okay.
Good afternoon, Rattlers.
Hello.
And I'm going to take the opportunity to stress what Booster President Selvin Cobb said, because we had a question to come in, and I wanted everyone in the room to know that Coach Colzie will be the speaker for the Save the Date that's circulating for Gadsden County Scholarship Soiree. So I think you all should come over to Gadsden and let him see some familiar faces in the place as he sees the other new ones, and he'll feel so comfortable about giving his message. So please come out and support us, Gadsden County Rattlers, on October 12th at 6 o'clock.
I'll be coming back from Kansas. So I'm definitely going to need to see some folks from Florida.
By the way, Miss Johnson, who just got finished speaking, she is a grand rattler. Thank you. Got her 1,000.
Now don't forget now that 1,000 came in when I was talking. So and then I'm just saying that, hey, I'm keeping the tab now. I'm keeping the tab. I think that's $1,100 I've gotten since I was talking. There you go. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Hold on, Miss Hadley. Hold on, Miss Hadley. Hold on.
This is not a football question, the way the guys like to hear it. But do all of the players get like breakfast? Do they get all of their meals? I know we give them the muscle milk or what have you. Is there something in place um, to make sure that all of their needs are taken care of?
Okay, so and that's a great question. So I'll have to go. I have to talk to you about some compliance rules first and foremost, right? So our players have that opportunity on whether or not to buy a meal plan, right? If a guy's on campus or off campus, they have that. Like, so if a guy decides that he doesn't want a meal plan, then that means he's saying that he's going to take on the responsibility to get his own meals. Well, then now he can't go now and get free meals from somebody or whatever the case may be. Does that kind of make any sense? Where we can't have people or someone pay for somebody's meals, right? In that fashion. So now, when I ask my guys to come to practice in the morning, right after practice, since I'm asking them to be there in the morning, and some guys may or may not have meals, I will buy meals for them. So they now have the opportunity, because they're in season, they're there in the morning for me, right? Whether they have a meal plan or not. But since I'm asking them to be there, I will now allow them to go, whether they have a meal plan or not. I'll now allow them to go to breakfast because we're there in the morning. You know what I mean? So I'll be honest with you, to answer your question, probably not, right? For the simple fact that you, that's why the NIL stuff is extremely important. And we I guess we pick 9 to 10 of our players, right, because of how good they are and what they've done for our institution and for our university, but we play with 110, so now you have about 100 guys that are scraping by, and I mean it, like I mean scraping by, so if you're on scholarship and you decide not to take a meal plan, then you'll get a check for a meal plan. If you're not on scholarship and you decide not to have a meal plan, now you're on your own, right? And so we have 110 players. I have 63 players on scholarship, right? So when you do the math, there are probably almost less than half that aren't on scholarship, and maybe they get a meal plan, maybe they don't. So to answer your question, are all of our players' needs being met? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll be transparent and tell you no, not all of them are. They're not. Well, you got opportunities to get loans. You got some guys at work. So, there are other things that, that are there. But, we all, college athletes, you sometimes you scrape by and you try to find out how to make it. You make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from Monday through Saturday and splurge on Sunday. But as a college athlete in this day and age, if you're not receiving NIL, you're probably scraping by just like everybody else. And you're learning how to balance your money and things of that nature. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for our guys, since I asked them to be there in the morning, the best or the most that I can do is provide breakfast, since that's the time frame that I'm asking them to be there. Now, if you have a meal plan, well, I just bought you breakfast, then now you'll stay there and get lunch, and then you'll stay there and later on and get dinner. But yeah, I privy to some of the conversations that I've had. A lot of our guys aren't necessarily in the best financial situation. So,
Coach, I have a carload of folks that we're going over to Troy,
yes, sir.
and I'm sure that there's some other Rattlers in here that are going over. And I asked you what time would you all be returning, and you said possibly about 12 midnight.
Yes.
I'm going to see if I can get at least my carload to greet you all when you come back from
I
Troy,
appreciate that.
Alabama. And I hope that some of the rest of us, if you can, come out and greet the Rattlers when they come back. We used to do that when I was in college, and it was a nice thing, but we were national champions too. What can I say?
Well, there's for whatever reason, the players will tell you, the players will tell you that after the game, that darn Florida A&M's head coach, he takes forever to leave. He takes forever to leave, right? And so talking about myself, like so we can't leave until I leave, right? And so after normally after the games, the media keeps you, and trust me, I don't necessarily want to have to do it, but before I can even take a shower, they make you go do all the media stuff. So you do the media stuff, then you got to get dressed. Believe it or not, after every game since this year, and I know Coach Simmons would say the same, especially in the past. Well, you by the time I get done with media and I've done everything, our locker rooms is practically empty because our guys have showered. They've got whoever they're waiting on, and the buses, they're waiting on one person. And the head coach, why don't he bring his behind on? That's probably what the players are saying. So if I can get my behind off the seat and go, then we should be back before midnight. I'm hoping, right? So, I remember the last couple of years, and to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, it was great to see guys come. It was great to see the people after a game meet us at the stadium. What I mean, I could tell you probably won't be a lot of conversation at that time, but trust me, it's really, really good to see the Rattlers waiting for us when we got back.
All right, Coach, we got a couple online.
Yes.
EA says, what are you looking for in your offensive line and defensive play this weekend against a physical opponent?
Well, I not to harp on, a couple weeks ago, but I don't care who we play for the rest of the year. We would have already faced the best offensive line and defensive line that we would have faced the entire season. But you got all these schemes, you have all these plays, you have all of these situations in a football game. When we play, no matter who we play, it's about winning the one-on-one battle. And what I'm hoping for, which I know we can do, especially with the talent that we have on both sides of the football, is winning more one-on-one battles than Troy does. We hold a little bit of an advantage, I would say, on the offensive line, especially with the type of defense they're going to play, and we're going to need them to win the battles, right? We can't get into a passing matchup against teams, especially a team like Troy who wants to throw the football. So we're going to have to be able to establish the run early. And by establishing the run early, that means our offensive line has beaten their defensive line. So those are the things that, we're got to make sure we harp on. Defensively, same thing. They got a fairly young offensive line. Troy is the only team in the country that doesn't have a senior on their football team, right? So they're a young football team going against our older football team. So hopefully the veteran leadership can put us over the top. But then again, one-on-one battles. We got to make sure we win the one-on-one battles.
Got time for about 3 more questions.
Coach, if you're using the highway, you're not going to be back by midnight.
Well, you also got that 1 hour time difference that, we'll lose an hour, right? Coach. Yes, sir. Regardless, right? No matter how fast you go. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said you went back to basics during practice this week.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about tackling, because tackling was woeful.
Terrible. Leaving our feet. Not you leave your feet when you're not confident that you can make the tackle, right? So, my guys looked at me. Kendall was back there yesterday. I was like, hey guys, let's start diving into the pole. Like if we're gonna dive tackle, then let's be good at it, right? We don't practice diving, believe it or not. Like when you go out there and do things you don't practice on a daily basis, that means you're not gonna be good at it. So I said to them, hey, if you guys want to work on diving, then let's work on diving. So I took them over to the pole, and they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, hey man, and we're gonna ask Kendall, what I say we were gonna do yesterday? Dive into the what? To the pole. I mean, if we're gonna be good, if we're gonna dive, let's be good at it. So I took them over to the pole. They looked at me like I was crazy. Hey man, go ahead and dive into it. Dive into it. So then the next time we did tackling drills, we were good. Right? You gotta do what you practice. You gotta do what you practice. We call it trust your training. Trust your training. Right? So we don't practice leaving our feet, therefore we won't be good at leaving our feet. So that was one of the main things. And we had an entire tackle circuit on Tuesday's practice. We had a big time entire tackle circuit last week. Right? We've done tackling circuit today. We did tackling circuit yesterday. So for us defensively, that was the biggest thing. And forget the coverage, forget all that other stuff. We got to be able to tackle the football. Offensively, a whole lot of controlling the football, right? Making sure we protect the football, catching it, bringing it back. And defensively, we help with that because we were learning how, we were trying to punch the ball out, right? So those are the things that we wanted our guys to make sure we were trusting our training. So good question, though. Great question.
Coach.
Yes, and nobody did dive into the polls. I just want to make sure we understand that. I don't want you to think Coach Colzie doing some foolishness. They got what I meant.
Coach, I want to say, although we didn't win, but thank you that we didn't come back with a goose egg. I appreciate y'all getting on the board.
Yes, ma'am. And no offensive line will tell you, man. We scored a touchdown. It's 15-7. We had the ball at the 1 yard line. We had a mistake, but
yeah.
And believe me, if we wouldn't have gotten it on third down and 1, we were going for it. But obviously, once you have the penalty, and it was 4th and 5, we ultimately had to kick a field goal. So
right.
Our offense did a great job that they've done all year. We gave up a touchdown. They put together a great drive, and we get the ball down to the 1 yard line. You got to, when you're playing a team like that of that magnitude, field goals aren't going to beat them. You need
right.
touchdowns. So.
That's right. Also, Coach, once again, and I'm going to keep saying this all year long until we get it right. Discipline. You gotta have discipline.
Mm-hmm.
They are okay. You say you're going to play against a young team.
Yes, ma'am.
We're an older team.
Yes, ma'am.
We gotta have some sense with that.
Hold on 1 sec. Hold on 1 sec. Kendall, y'all hear that? I got sense.
Can y'all hear me back there? That's all right. Leave the t-shirts alone. The football team, you gotta have some discipline. Make sure you have some self-control. Them 15-yard penalties ain't gonna get it. The most dangerous team you can play is one that's 0-3. They will kick your butt if you're not right.
Yeah, yeah.
Got Leroy.
Okay.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, boss?
Yes, look at y'all know the offensive line. We making contact. We doing all the things, alignment and assignment. But I see when they make contact, they don't
Stop
stay
at
with
our
that.
feet.
They don't stop. They don't stay contact with
Mhm.
that man long enough, and we get that. Cause I know 95% is footwork.
Yes, man. Yes, sir.
And once you get that footwork, now you can drive him. Because the main thing, our defensive guy hate when offensive guys stay with him. He get frustrated. So we got to just kind of stay with our blocks a little bit longer than we've been doing.
Well, I think the motto for our offensive line is like you said, once you make contact, continue moving your feet. But we also want that defensive guy to be more worried about the offensive lineman as opposed to that running back that's got the football, right? And I don't want to overemphasize this. I'm gonna be extremely transparent about the football team that we played not this past Saturday. All right, they played another Division I program, right? And they beat that Division I, FBS. They beat that program 64-0, and and they never even they got to put a dent in it, right? I'm talking about they ain't even think about getting past the 50. And they were a good football team, a very very good football team. They will more than likely win the ACC. And all these points that we're talking about and things that we need to make sure that we improve on. If we don't improve on those, we could be, regardless of who we're playing, the University of Miami or anybody else is in our conference, we got to make sure we do those a heck of a lot better to make sure, right, that we don't have this type of conversation again, right? We got to make sure we do that this weekend as we get ready to play Troy. I mean, they're as mentioned, 0-3, dangerous football team, right? They're looking for a win. Our guys are up to the challenge. They understand the assignment, right? We gotta stay on our blocks. We gotta make sure we tackle better, right? We gotta make sure we're more disciplined. And these are all the things that we've stressed throughout this week, right? And I'm here to tell you, we ain't gonna be perfect. But we need to be much improved so we can get ourselves ready for SWAC play. The biggest thing I told our guys, and I think they understood what I was saying, is even though we're not going to finish undefeated, guys. That's what that did. We will not be an undefeated football team this year. But it didn't do anything to our SWAC hopefuls. It didn't do anything for us trying to win the SWAC championship. It didn't do anything for us it had no harm on whether we win the SWAC or play for the HBCU national championship. But we must improve upon those things to ensure that we do those things. And that's a great point. You are exactly right. Exactly right. So thank you. Again, hopefully I get a chance to see everybody at Troy. I'll make sure we do the 3.5 hours. Is that what you said? 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'll make sure we do that. Because if we go too fast, it's going to be 3.5 anyway, because somebody's going to have us on the side of the road. Right? So either you go the speed limit or you don't. Okay? But again, thanks again. I'll make sure win, lose, or draw. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Great job. Great job, coach, and thank you. While Miss Jackson is coming up, our CEO has some awards to give. She's getting ready. She has some awards to give out. Want to remind everybody to make sure your email is current up there with us. If you're online, there is a comment in the thread on the YouTube page that shows you, and some people have been signing up during today's broadcast. And so we want to make sure everybody is on board. We've got a good start to this $1 million campaign. Very good start. And now we need to kick it into fifth gear and go ahead and raise this money. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of the Eddie Jackson 220 Quarterback Club, Dr. Geraldine Jackson.
So much. Thank you so much. They get carried away with this CEO. But you all remember early on, I said I was going to give an award each month to someone that you all nominated. Well, for September, there were only 6 nominees. The slips are in the back for October, so you can nominate someone. You can even nominate yourself if you want to. There were, and this for somebody who's dedicated to the organization that you've observed. And if you want to nominate somebody and you don't know their name, you could either ask me or ask Wilma or ask Vaughn or ask any of these old people who've been around for not old age, but old attendees. Okay. All right. Okay. There were 6 nominees for September, and 2 people got 2 nominees. And am I saying this right? 2 people got 2 nominations, and the other 2 people got 1 nomination. Okay, that's right. Okay. So, since both of these people were my favorite people, and I did not nominate them, and they are also Eddie's favorite people. In fact, all of you are Eddie's favorite people. Okay. But one of them is especially favorite, and I shouldn't get because he and Eddie talked every morning, and sometimes twice a day, because Eddie was always laying over there on the couch. I'm sitting over there at the computer, and I hear him go, uh, Honorable Matthews. That's what he called him all the time. Honorable Matthews. So James Matthews, come up here, please. uh, no, he said Honorable Mr. Matthews. Yeah, that's what he always said. Yeah. And they would have this conversation every morning and then sometimes a little later on during the day. Okay. So I am so honored to present this award to Mr. James Matthews with 1 T. For dedicated support award presented to James Matthews for his longtime outstanding support and service to the 220 Quarterback Club's success. And it's presented September 18th, 2024. And also, I'm happy about this because James was one of the leading forces behind our wall, that special project. So thank you. And thank you, whoever nominated him, for nominating him. Good man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm back over here. Away from.
Oh,
This second person hasn't been with us for that long, but long enough. And he had also become one of Eddie's favorite people. And so I am very happy to present this one to Mr. G. McKinney. He's really special. And I found out a couple of months ago that his wife and I are related on down the line. We started talking about people we know, and it turns out that we're related. So I am so happy to present this to you that says the same thing, dedicated support award presented to G. McKinney for his outstanding support and service to the 220 Quarterback Club success, presented this September 5th. Thank you. Okay, and thank you so much. Be sure and nominate somebody else for October. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. All right, Rattlers, thank you for joining us here today. We'll see some of you all in Troy, and we'll see some of you all back here next week.